thinking any explanations that doesn't come from the scientific method. I know that the scientific method cannot explain a vast thing, the majority of things, but I can live really good with that vertigo, right? Like with that no. I think that's I,
Mm-hmm.
I'm now, not I'm believing now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing, not religious have many positive things. I've seen what they're doing for the communities and many things, but also I can see that giving some explanation powerful as uh, inflict a lot of pain on many people, right? It can take cover of many things.
Yep.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of not the religion per se, but the people what is doing with their religion.
Yeah.
Sorry for it's terrible. Like I really
Don't worry
want to
about it,
explain
man. Get
better.
your good practice in. I understand everything.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's why I come here. This is one of the motivations for this
Yeah,
event, as
yeah,
I'm from Russia, so this
yeah.
practicing. Yeah, thanks for sharing. This is really interesting. Yeah, It- it's double-edged sword, as they say. Can be both. Okay, Paul, let me give you a megaphone.
Mm.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry to keep on going on about Horus. When I was in the
Please do.
Temple of Horus last year, I was actually shocked. These guys, and it was guys, spent 200 years carving into stone this story. And I said to the guide who was talking about the story of Isis, Cyrus, and Horus, where these people had built this massive temple, 200 years carving into stone, I said to him, "Are you sure people aren't making stuff up?" Yeah,
Yeah, people make stuff up all the time.
looking up the story of Isis and Osiris, it's just amazing how, in all sincerity, they carved into the rock, built massive temple, basically a story involving some bloke having his phallus bitten off by a catfish. It's actually true. It's amazing. That to me is religion.
Well, yeah, you can say that
Hey,
it's a lot of speculation, maybe from a certain point of view, because many people they are disgusted by regular religions. That's why they are kind of protesting against that. So this is another side of spectrum that we can see. Okay, Kumitsu, maybe you can share some interesting stuff too. Hold on. Always share some cool ideas. So hold on.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
can. How do I? Can you give me the
There you go.
megaphone, please?
Yes,
Oh yeah,
finally.
thank you.
I found you in the list.
Uh, so my story. I've actually recently turned religious, unexpectedly to myself.
Whoa, yeah, I'm
uh,
surprised too.
and uh, and recently, I mean, like a year or two. And the moment it happened is I'm from Europe, Czech Republic, and every 10 years, we have a counting of the people in the nation, like the flats, the people, how many people in the flat, and stuff
Census.
like that.
more like a census, yeah.
Yeah, that's the word. And they ask also about your religion. And, I did one 10 years ago. And, at that time, I registered as a Jedi just because it was an option. But now it was again. And, it really made me think about answering this question seriously.
Am I
And
really a
I
Jedi?
had to answer. No, no, I had to answer like seriously, like, do I believe in something? And I had to say yes. Yes, I absolutely do. And there's a little bit of language barrier because in English speaking countries they would ask like, do you follow religion or something like that, I guess. But in my country is like, are you a believer or something? He was asking that.
I love those linguistic differences.
If I follow the religion, I would say no. But if I'm a believer, I'm 100% yes. So it forced me to realize that I actually believe something. uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
What
most
is the faith you believe in? Just curious.
it's a mix. It's a mix of Christianity, and other stuff. But I don't think. I think that most of the religions have piece of the puzzle, uh, and
Right.
I'd be fine, I guess, following parts of everything.
Hmm. Yeah, thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you for that,
I
Commission.
don't like the organized part. That's where I have
Yeah,
a
me neither.
problem. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
someone
I used
called it
to.
a cult earlier. I agree.
Yep. Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a very convenient answer that I always used to, when people are very religious, I think it's very easy to offend them. So whenever they ask me like, "Oh, are you religious?" I would say, "Well, I believe, but I don't follow any particular religion." So that way, it kind of gives me this convenient position where I can
mhm.
learn more about different religions. I can ask questions, but at the same time, there's like, no pressure. So, yeah, I'm still exploring. Yeah, like looking around. Do you want to
yeah,
buy something?
I
Yeah, I'm
think
just looking around.
you know, believe in it. You can ask me, "Do you believe in this?" And I can say you yes or no.
Yeah, I like
Be
that.
Right?
specific.
Do you
Yeah,
believe
be
in
specific.
angels? And my answer would be like, surprisingly, probably yes.
Why not? Why not? Don't limit yourself. Okay, cool cat me. Let me give you a megaphone so that way you can share your opinion too. Okay, I think this VR space is one of the few where you can feel
Hello.
free to express yourself. Hey, welcome.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Upsetting. But I think having religion, being in a religion, and having faith is two completely separate things. Like, I
Mm.
grew up in a very Christian household, right? Like, it was something that was very pushed on me. And anything else, I'm just saying, like, when I turned 18, about it all. And I think religion, like being is two completely separate things. Because in each
Good point.
religion, you have somebody telling you, like, you gotta pray a certain way, you gotta wear certain clothes, you gotta do this. And I think that's where, like, I started thinking more about it. And it, that's one thing that's really confusing to me as well, because you see all these religions that have like rules. They tell you have to pray a certain way. Like you have to, like, you can't eat this, you can't do that. And for a religion that's built of love, because all religions, I think, are for the purpose of sharing love, in my opinion. And I just feel like
Great way
there's
to put it.
so many rules. And I think not just rules, I think there's so many like man made rules around
Yeah,
religion.
I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
It's like
Definitely.
I grew up in I grew up Christian. I wear a skirt to go to church. Like, because if I wore jeans to church, that would be unacceptable. And I think it doesn't matter like what you wear, like if you have faith, none of that should matter. And I think there's a huge judgment thing based on religion.
Definitely.
Like, I know I was looking online and I was just scrolling through TikTok like I always do because I'm addicted. And I was seeing other, like, two religions putting each other down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
that is
Happens
a
a lot.
because,
thing.
yeah, if you're in a religion, every other religion is unacceptable.
Yes.
Mm.
And I
Yes.
just feel
Yeah.
like
They're
there's
like competing.
so much hate in it. And even though I don't think they mean to spread hate, but I think there's so much hate around religion as a whole
Hmm.
that it kind of blinds us from having that faith.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right.
And
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing. That's
Thank you.
really valuable.
Very
I
good.
think that happens a lot because people they kind of want to reassure themselves, maybe even that my religion is the best religion, and maybe that's why they're more, eager to prove that okay, so this is I
Hmm.
believe in it. That's why it's totally true. That's why I have to prove it to everybody else. But I think the truth is that when you really are sure about something, you don't try to prove it to somebody else, right? It's like self-confidence. If you're self-confident, you don't care about what other people comment on you. You can calmly just answer to that, but not be, too eager. So yeah, curious. It happens a lot. I heard this funny saying
Hmm.
that um, but it was I think one of my Muslim friends when I commented about some points we were discussing. She said, "I think like those people who are into religion, they hate other people, like not hate, but they despise other religions, but even more they despise the other branches of their own religion, like for example, Catholic and Orthodox people or." Muslims are also in different branches, and Sunni and Shi. They
That's
always,
kind of
you know.
a power fight, right?
Hold on.
It's
Let me give you a
a
microphone.
fight
Uh-huh.
over.
Yeah,
We got.
thanks.
That's kind of
Oh, yeah.
a human fight for the power of controlling things, right? More than
Yep.
the precepts of the religion, like
Mm-hmm.
as you were saying. I mean, it doesn't matter which
Oh, my headset is.
side are based on that. So I think all
Mhm.
the fights are not just because you want to reassure yourself, but because the organization of the religion wants the power that it be.
Mhm. Exactly.
I agree. I
Thank you
agree.
for that insight, Cornelius.
Yeah, always great to hear. Kay and Komitsu, you had hand raises. Let me give you. Kay has the megaphone, so go first. Ladies first.
And it was very beautifully said, like how religions actually mean, it's all about literally sharing love. And like, like
Guys, mute yourself if you don't speak.
in my religion,
So
Anybody else hear her, or did she freeze out?
I have bad internet connection, so every
She
time I
froze.
think, oh, it's my internet, I froze. But it seems like everybody else is freezing too sometimes. Okay. Yeah, if you have some
But
problems,
okay.
yeah, seeing people or hearing stuff, try to re-enter. It helps a lot in many situations. So, yeah. Okay, whenever you're back, we'll be ready to listen to you. Kumitsu, let me give you a megaphone to fill the void, at least. There you go.
I just wanted to add a point on the who was it? Oh, that's a long name. The lady there mentioned about hate and relationship with religion. I think it's just unfortunate result of
Hmm.
Twitter and internet and a vocal minority being extremely uh, having extreme reach. I think that most religion, like Christianity and Islam, they have like 2 billion people, right? And
Hmm.
most, like 95% of those 2 billion people,
Yep.
they are silent on the internet. And that's an ideal idea, but most of them are completely fine living their own life, and there's like a couple million that just go on Twitter and they are the internet warriors, and that's what we see, and
Couch
it
commenters.
completely shifts the perception on our end that religions are fighting on the internet, and it's only because positive. We don't get fed the positive feedback like a Christian calling a Muslim on a Twitter like, "I love you, dude," right? Because they need, right? They're not in this battle. They're not in this fight. So, of course, it happens, but it happens way less. So I think that's the problem, that we get fed the and it's kind of entertaining in a way.
I also am glad that we have more access to information so that way people can learn about other religions. Because when people, in the era before internet, when I heard some conversations about religion, people would always say, well, in my religion, this is the only right religion, and you should, admit that there's only God, and you have to do this and this and this to get to heavens and get there and this. And I'm like, and every time I had this logical question, okay, your religion occurred what, like 1,500 years ago, like 2,000 years ago? But what about people before that? And what about people who don't know about this religion? Yeah, of course, it's great that you can tell me about this stuff, but I have to ask you, even in the area where a lot of people are into the religion, and I still have to find out more about this stuff. And it's very unclear to me what are the ups and downs and like different conditions. And what about those people who live in Africa and in some forests or in some wild areas? They just don't know about this. And how did it happen that Almighty God actually distributes information only locally in one time era? So it didn't make sense to me. Yeah. Anybody else wants to share? Let me see the hand raises. Komitsu, Dave.
Well,
do you want to share something, Ventus?
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
I'll go ahead for Dave.
I was thinking there's when you talk to somebody about religion, there's like one of two different things they might be thinking about. One is religion is like it's a set of rules that you should follow in order to have a productive life and well-ordered society. It makes sense that the sets of rules that work really good to do that grow into be large religions and large why are we here and what are we supposed to do here. So I think that's part of the reason those things get combined. Right? What are we supposed to do? Follow these rules, right? Some religions are more metaphysical and they try to answer the where do we come, why are we here, and some religions are more these are the rules you got to follow. And I think like the Abrahamic religions are a really good mix of the two. And I think what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to live a happy life? And
good instruction, yeah.
Yeah, talking about Osiris and Horus. The whole reason I'm getting to the whole reason I had to talk is because you got mushrooms on your screen there, and I can't tell if that's just coincidence or intentional. But the Egyptian religions were big into alchemy. Egypt used to be referred to as Kemet, and alchemy comes from alchemet, which means from Egypt. And alchemy was the idea of as above, so below. Everything is represented at different the arts were a cosmic representation of life on Earth, on Earth as it is in heaven. They really took that to be so, and that's why if you go into these ancient, they're trying to bring heaven to Earth when they built Egypt, I think. Well, other religions were trying to do the same thing, and they're explaining what happens to them when they eat psychedelic mushrooms. And since the psychedelic mushrooms are earthly manifestation of something that must manifest in the cosmos, all kinds of things. And when you start looking at religion through that perspective, where everything is a symbol or a metaphor for something else, possibly, it just gets vastly more interesting.
Mm-hmm,
Like, I
mm-hmm.
don't think the catfish was really a catfish. I think it probably represented something else. And
Uh-huh.
something else I've just gotten a little bit more interested. I don't know what, but part of it too is all these religions came about when humans first started to farm, and it
Yep.
was
Ergot.
well, okay, the religions from before farming had lots and lots of gods. The religions after farming tended to be monotheistic and a lot more interested in what's going on in the stars. And it was important to know what happened in the stars so you could predict the seasons, so you knew what to do with your crops. And you had to write this down. That was really important. But you had to write it down in a way that only the learned scholars were able to tell slaves when to plant, right? So there, religion is such a huge subject. I could just rattle on forever about it,
Exactly.
but it's for interest, and that's
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Dave.
Yeah, good points. Thanks. I see some names in participation list. Paul, would you like to
Yeah, I
add
wanted
something?
to.
Go ahead, Mendes.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I just want to say I wish conflict between religion was limited to keyboard warriors, but you mentioned the Sunni and the Shia divisions of Islam. And of course, they are blowing up each other's mosques and killing each other's people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the Shia don't believe the same as the Sunni. They believe that Muhammad had different relatives, and yeah, that's the division.
Okay, so basically, I've been sitting and listening to everybody. I'm from London. I'm from West Africa. My family's West African heritage, Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
microphone.
Basically, religion is a Western construct. Because us Africans, yeah, we know spirituality before Western world took on so-called religion. So I'll give you an example. You lot say Jesus. You lot say Jesus, right? The letter J didn't exist till the 14th century. Where I'm from in my country in Ghana, we don't say Jesus. We say Yame, which way. A lot of cultures in Africa say the same thing. Yesu, Yame, or Yankupon, or Aradie. So these are the original terms of religious languages from Africa. All your religions you speak is in English. So it's not even interpreted the real way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I would say.
Exactly.
You all
Linguistic
speak,
part is always
read.
important. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm from Ghana, and our in Ghanaian spirituality before Christianity came into our language, we already had a construct already like Christianity, same as Egypt. Even my guy here said about Horus and what do you say? Horus and what do you say again?
ISIS,
What?
Yeah.
Horus,
Okay, well
ISIS,
basically,
and
okay, now
Catfish.
Egypt now, and I take it, and this is what we're taught as this is what we're taught as Africans, right? Egypt, right? For example, in ancient times, there was you can research this if you want. There's a place called Montepi. Montepi was the times the gods lived on Earth. So all them pyramids and all them constructs you see was before, after the flood. So we don't really have any real knowledge because Western world, quote unquote, says that it was all ancient times and it's myth. People like Africans, we real because it's already to us. So I'll give you an example again. So Montepi is the time when the gods lived on earth, right? Read the Bible, back to the Bible, and I'll take you. Read Genesis chapter 7, verse 7. It basically states in there, it says, it was giants on the earth those days, yeah, and how they procreated. The angels of heaven came to earth and procreated with man on earth and made giants. Now, if you read the Greek mythology, because I'm very conversed with Greek mythology in Hindu mythology, my missus is Hindu. So, Greek mythology, their story is this: that you had Kronos and Gaia. Yeah,
Yeah,
Kronos
god of
was
time
the
and
head god.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Then Kronos, basically, he had children, right? And because he had a premonition that his kids are going to one day kill him, he was eating all his children. But Zeus's mum loved him so much and hid him with Mother Earth called Gaia. Yeah. Mother Earth Gaia protected him until he got to a certain age. I'm gonna fast forward it. When Zeus killed the gods, he buried them in the temple. He buried them in a prison called Tartarus. If you read in the Bible, it says the same construct that all the fallen angels, and if you read the book of Enoch, I don't know if you don't know Enoch. Enoch is Noah's great grandfather. So these are stories like the Bible don't really like to put in, but Africans we're taught this. So you got Enoch, who is Noah's great grandfather, who basically used to walk with God. He used to give premonitions to the
Всё,
people on
вырубай тогда.
earth. Basically, in his time, he was prophesied that because these giants on earth, like, I'll give you another example for people think I'm going crazy. Now we find big dinosaur bones, right?
А,
We
а
find
можешь
we
зайти
find
тогда
big
в
dinosaur
мое
bones around the world and we
теперь в
call them
мое
dinosaurs, right?
мероприятие этот
Some of these
Theory
bones
of
we find are
Everything,
bigger
и
than
ты
our
что-нибудь такое
buildings
сделал?
around the world. But we can say these animals exist, but giants don't exist. It's a bit mind fetched. So back then,
Yeah, I agree.
totally different. So
Мгм.
these dinosaurs, right? I'll give you a prime example again, right? Dinosaurs. Where do you think dinosaurs come from? They just find these bones and tell us, oh, they're dinosaurs, they're animals. But where? Where? For example, a turtle or a lizard. Remember, they tell us they lived in the dinosaur age. They can die in the the minutest change of climate, but they're still here today.
Yeah, like crocodiles
They're
and
still here today.
dragonflies too. Yeah, they hadn't changed.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
obviously, there must have been a cataclysmic person who sat down and chose what's dying and what's staying. Yeah, when science say there's a big bang where the dinosaurs died, and then due to the molecules, then it was created by all that rubbish. It doesn't make no sense. So me personally, what I would advise all of you lot to do, because I don't want to ramble or be rambling on too much, so I apologize because I'll be all day speaking about this. Because I'm very educated in
No
this. And like I
problem.
said, I'm West African. West
Yeah, thanks for
African, and what
sharing.
we're taught in West Africa, I'll give it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'll get so another example. My religion, I'm from. So before Christianity was even invented, we've had these concepts. So we have a God called Yankopon. He doesn't come. He doesn't come to Earth. He had sex with Mother Earth called Asasia. Same as the story as Greek mythology. Kronos. Yeah, you had Mother Earth Gaia, right? So Asasia, she had two children called Bayo and Tunu. Yeah, and then you had other
Алло.
gods. So if you heard of a story called the Nancy the Spider, yeah, he's a god from my country, Ghana. So it's all around the world.
Да,
There's a
да,
story
да.
about
Мгм.
you see
Чё-то где-то я
cartoon
что-то тебя не
books
вижу.
and Nancy the Spider and Nancy the Spider. Well, Nancy was one god, is also a god from my country from
Сейчас.
Ghana. So
Грибы
all these
там, видишь,
concepts
да?
is already there. So
На
all I can
экране
say
видишь
to you lot,
грибы?
do your
Я в
research.
желтом. А,
Um,
привет. Только остановись. Да-да. Не мешай, вот там где-нибудь сзади стань. Все, не хулигань, ты отвлекаешь сегодня про религию, разговор
I mean,
серьезный.
like I said, the late 14th
Сейчас
century.
тебя Мендес выкинет случайно. Давай, давай, давай. Становись где-нибудь рядом или сзади, и просто там поснимай.
Thank
Wanted
you,
to
people.
share.
I'm off,
Ага,
yeah.
давай.
Have
Hey,
a
have a
good
good
one,
night.
yeah.
Давай,
Respect,
батя.
respect.
Люблю тебя. Сюда.
The Israeli language. It wasn't.
Да, это бывает. Ты просто ее подергай, как
Israeli
активируется,
language.
нажмешь.
Aramaic. Aramaic.
Yeah. So
That's the language.
Yeah.
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 Девять.
Aramaic. So
Wasn't
yeah, so
actually called
Aramaic. So for
Jesus.
example, so sorry to cut you
Знаешь,
again.
как
So
сделаем?
Semitic. Let's get Semitic.
Да,
Semitic. Go and
сверните.
research. Go and study and Google what
Сначала
what
OBS
the Semitic
включи.
means. Semitic means Semitic languages of Asia, Africa, yeah, and most
Да,
of that
и
region. That's what
ты все,
Semitic
молодец.
means.
И на
Semitic because
Headspace
we
тоже
all
тогда
share the
переключись
Semitic
обратно,
languages. So you
чтобы
got the
видно было.
Bantu tribes, the tribes
И чуть-чуть
in
подальше
South
вот там
Africa,
встань, чтобы
the
этот...
tribes from Israel, not
Тима
Middle East, by
Россия,
the
тебя
way,
сейчас
because where's
выкину.
middle north, middle west, the middle south?
Давай,
It's
давай,
northeast
давай.
Africa. We sit on the same
Давай,
platonic stone.
давай.
We sit on the same platonic
Right.
stone. Yeah, so I
Да,
have to
да.
make that clear as well.
Давай.
So yeah, go and do your research, and yeah, I'm off, everyone, and love. God bless you all. Creator bless you all. The Spirit bless you. Whatever. Peace and I'm gone.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks.
So myself, I don't believe in a modern day religion. I think it's all a sham to control us. It's like he said. I've done research in the history. I mean, clearly, I don't get it as brainwashing, but if it make you a better person, I support that. You're a shit person before you got to religion, and religion made you better. I support that. Myself, it didn't work. It was backwards for me. I was forced into religion as a little kid, as a Baptist, like Kat said, wear little suits and shit all the time. My cousins had to wear dresses, even though they were tom girls. We didn't like it, so we turned to the opposite of religious people growing up, and I think that was something that forced us into that
No,
path
Kasia жесткий,
because
конечно, да.
religion was being crammed in.
Did he freeze?
Oh, yeah. You can't hear me?
Now I
Can you
can.
hear me now?
Yeah. Can hear you now.
I
Oops.
bet. See me dancing? All right. I had another question I wanted to ask you guys too.
Come on. I'm curious. I'm intrigued. What's the question?
Yeah, I lost my one second. I lost my notes.
Чё, прям совсем плохо? Uh-huh. I also granted the megaphone to Cool Cat Meow. Hold on. Let me give you a megaphone once again. And Mendes can come back and ask us an interesting question, which I'm intrigued by. Okay, there you go, megaphone.
Well, sorry, it cut out for a second, so I did not hear what was said. But a question that I have, which I was pretty curious about it, I know, like, I'm not sure what his username was. He was pointing out books in the like quotes from the Bible, and under my understanding, the original text was sent to the Roman Catholics, and they got to really like decide like what's in the version that we all see. And that has been, I guess, translated several times.
Yep.
So put in it.
That's a great point.
I've always believed that we can't trust anything that man gives us because we as individuals are we always have flawed, shit we don't do right. There's ways that we think that's inappropriate. There's temptations that we have that we want, and I believe that in a lot of what I see in the textbooks, the Quran and the Holy Bible is, I see the insecurities of the person who wrote that, who was scared that individual free thinking people will have a reaction.
72,000 hooks is going to, hang to your soul or drag you into some hell or something. Yeah, those comparisons are definitely, I think, motivated by insecurities of people. Good point. Yeah, I've also thought about
Anybody else?
this linguistic point. That's a really good point because I think as a translator, whenever I translate a document, a lot of stuff is lost there in translation because there are different cultures. That's the beauty about it, the multiplicity. And I was wondering how the text is very different and very difficult in sense of there's many metaphors and many things that are not literal, and that's why I think that a lot of things are just lost in translation. So yeah, Snullbug, Dave, and Masal. Okay, new user. So let me give you megaphones. Hold on first. Let me give Snullbug. Hold on. Let me give you a megaphone so we can hear your voice and your ideas. There you go.
Okay, well, I think that ultimately religion boils down to a person's individual relationship, what they consider their higher power or the creator or whatever fills that spot in their personal belief system. I think that we get hung up on a lot of the time and something that doesn't really have any relation to that public face of religion. I mean, to speak from the viewpoint of the preaching to give to the poor, and the Catholic Church is sitting on the hugest fortune in the world, and we've got televangelists that actually have money in their walls, and it's just that kind of public face of religion gives the basic idea of religion and our relationship to each other in the universe a bad name. And organized religion, there's been more devastation wreaked by organized religion. I mean, to just look at the Western tradition, look at the Crusades, look at the witch hunts, look at the
Yes.
look at the expunging of of those considered hypocrites in the Middle Ages, and it's just religion when it gets organized. Somebody mentioned earlier that it's about power, and
Mhm.
ultimately, I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. I mean, when you read the writings of the great religions, it's about love, it's
Mm-hmm.
about
Mm-hmm.
humility, it's about peace. But that's not what we see. We don't
Not
see
at all.
love and humility and peace. So it's
It's
like
very selective.
we see hypocrisy. We it's like we hear the talk, but we don't see people walking the walk, you know, and so religion gets a bad name,
Mm-hmm.
but it springs from a desire of to have a relationship with something greater than ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It definitely has this vibe that is attractive.
Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing that.
thanks for sharing. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that I've always, um, I didn't like when people shared about their religion like too publicly. When they, I think this is something very intimate, almost. Yeah, like your relationship to the higher, whatever, maybe self, maybe deity, maybe God. So yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
sharing. Maybe.
I agree.
So yeah, let me give.
I gave Dave the
Great,
megaphone.
thanks.
Yeah,
Hey, Dave.
to kind of continue on what Snowbug was talking about. One thing that's really fascinated me with religion, and I'll take the Christianity kind of dominating Europe as an example. But like the Catholic Church kind of owned Europe for a while, and it's kind of crazy. It makes it like it was its own country, So if most of the citizens of Spain are members of the church, and most of the citizens of France are the members of the church, then France does not get to invade Spain without the blessing of the Pope. Um, and it's another path to world domination, really, but
Mm-hmm.
without war, unless the church decides that the citizens of Spain should go to war, and then it does. That's a country without a border, and that's a tremendous amount of power.
Mm-hmm.
It's too
Mm-hmm.
bad that it comes out of a desire for people to do good. Like that's where the power springs from. It's what gets everybody to agree to support it, and it turns ugly. Um, but if that doesn't get you thinking about what really could happen with VR, I don't know. I don't know why you wouldn't, because like let's say there's some religion in VR that everybody could go to some virtual church, and it didn't matter what part of the world you were in. But if that church had 5 billion members,
Mm-hmm.
then the leaders of that church would get to tell the leaders of the world what to do,
Well, yeah, exactly.
and it's just that easy, you know. But that's a huge that thought came from what I was going to talk about, which was people were complaining about as kids being drugged to church every Sunday, and I'm one of them. I hated it.
Mm-hmm.
My perspective changed. I moved away, and I live deep in the woods. It's really, really rural, and there's no church within 20 miles of my house except one, and it's 6 miles, and you could walk there. It's the community church. If things ever got really, really hard, me and my neighbors, I live on a 3 mile road, and at the end of the 3 mile road, you go down another 3 mile road, and there's the church. Those are the people that go to that church, and the people that live on that road live like a mile apart. But that's it. That's our community, and not so much now because you've got TV, you got internet, you got all
Mm-hmm.
these ways to connect with
Mm-hmm.
people. But like the house I live on still has the shack that was homesteaded in 100 years ago, and I can't believe they raised like 6 kids in there. It just blows my mind. It's an old farm,
Mm-hmm.
and like that family, you damn right they made it to church every Sunday just to keep in touch with their neighbors and let their neighbors know I'm here to help you,
Mm-hmm.
or if you need some help from me, I'm here. You know, and it really kept the local community cohesive
Yep.
unit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's where the tradition of dragging your kids to church every Sunday comes from. You know, is keeping the local community in touch with each
Yeah,
other.
socialize.
That's an important part of religion that I think never gets talked about. So that's all.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. That's a very good point because I think this is one of the, I would say, utilizing like functional advantages of religion, that it can unite people. Because if you remember that pyramid of needs, after we get food and we get the safe place, the next level is always socializing, to have a group, to have identity, that you can say, oh, I'm this, whatever. And I
Hmm.
think that really helps people, that you can come to the place and have a group of people who is, you know, who has the same views, and they're like, in advance, they a priori, they are happy to see you and they want to share, time with you. I think that's attractive to many people, just to have instantly, to have a group of people that shares your, ideas and opinions. That's a really good function, I think. So I always say that. Mhm.
I want to add an
Mhm.
observation that is another reason why I don't trust modern religion. But in America, Sundays has often and usually always is one of the most segregated days of the week. Um, there's churches are same religion, same denomination, but there's a white version and there's a black version of it in about every city and about every town in America. So I know that's only applicable to us here, but um,
No, no.
it is something that I see that's always been weird as fuck to me. Just wanted to share that.
A good point.
Yeah, very good point. See,
I did have a question. Oh, well, go ahead, Ozzy.
I'm done. I would prefer to listen to other people.
The thing about creating an in-group
Paul, let me
is
give
that
you
it
a
also
microphone.
creates out-groups.
Yeah, in group, out group.
Mm. Yeah, the thing with having an in-group, it's fine. You all love each other within your in-group, but then, as Mendes was implying, it also creates out-groups, and that out-group is far, far larger than the in-group tribe of the in-group. No matter what that in-group
Mm-hmm.
religion is. Also, fun fact. Here's a fun fact. The last witch was burnt to death due to religion just over 100 years ago in Switzerland. I believe that's correct.
Wow, that's crazy. One of the most developed
That was
countries.
somebody talking about witches. Yeah. Yeah, I think
We're
that's correct. Yeah, it may not have been Switzerland, but it was just over 100 years ago. The last witch was burnt to death on a religious basis.
Oh, it was easy to get to that point at that time. Oh, you weigh more than. There was like a rule, I think, in France. If you weigh less than 40 kilograms, you're a witch, because you have to use what was it? The transportation. How do I say that? The mop? No, the sweep something. My English is not, is failing me here. The transportation measure that the witches were using, they were capable of carrying not more than 40 kilograms.
The
Yes,
broom.
the broom. Yes, I forgot the word. Yeah. So yeah. Oh my God, that's like what?
Never heard that.
What? If you're pretty, you are a witch. We should burn you. Somebody made this joke that France doesn't have too many beautiful women because all beautiful women were burnt. And some, yeah, as witches.
It's funny, but not funny at the same time. So my question was, have you ever experienced a religious awakening? And what was it, and how was it? Is my question. If you have, or if you haven't,
Good question.
sure.
I would say spiritual awakening, but through love mostly. I wouldn't say that I had any religious awakening, but I would love to hear about experiences of other people.
Yeah, well, I raised my hand before the question.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Can I ask my question, or do I have to
Yeah,
answer
yeah.
your
Feel
question?
free, free man. It's open
I was
discussion.
before you asked that question. I was wondering. I'd be really, really interested to hear people's opinions on whether or not science is a religion or not.
It's a.
And if it's not a religion, what is
I
it?
think we mentioned this question before, and it's a scientific method. Yes, yes, Paul. Let me give you a microphone. You're a better specialist on that than I am. Hold on.
Yeah, sure. Hey,
Microphone is on your way. There you go. There.
No, science is a religion. Science is just a method. That's all it is. It's a method to establish the best truth possible. And it changes. You know, this is true today, partially, probably, and it changes. Like Newton wasn't completely correct. Einstein isn't completely correct because there are things missing. So science is not a religion. It's just a method. Like maths isn't a religion either.
Yep. And many people see it as two opposites, but I think these are definitely two different areas in the first place because they have different principles. I think if you practice science, that method, you're allowed to ask questions. Yeah, questioning is actually good because whether you're right or wrong, you're going to get more information. So это спать хочешь прям?
You're not allowed to do that in a religion. You might get hung or something.
Бесит.
It's still a matter of faith, though. Faith in the method.
Give you a megaphone, Dave. We can't hear you over here.
Right.
Got it?
Sorry about that, Mike. It's still a matter of faith, though. I mean, you have to believe in the method.
No.
Right?
It's not. We can prove, Dave. I'm
Поняла,
proving it now.
сейчас